From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode on Leadership Gems for Women. Be confident. I talked about in a previous episode the two different types of confidence. And that was on episode 51 about the confident leader. And I talked about the two different types of confidence, self-confidence and situational confidence. And, how self-confidence is truly confidence in ourself and our character and our values, who we are as a person. And that is static. That doesn't change depending on the situation. But our situational confidence is our confidence in our competencies, our skill set. And that obviously is pretty dynamic because, my confidence speaking on stage is great. But if you put me in an operating room and say, do heart surgery on this person, I don't have any confidence in my ability to do that. That's situational confidence. And let me tell you, you shouldn't have any confidence in my ability to do heart surgery either. So, if you want to dig in a little deeper in that, go back and listen to that previous episode. But today I really wanted to focus on the different characteristics of confidence in women, because confident women become confident leaders, and confidence inspires others. We really are not only just inspired by confidence in others, but we tend to rely on that. It builds confidence in ourselves and our influence with others because we trust that. And there's of course a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and that's humility. And but that's for another chapter. So today I really wanted to focus on the characteristics of confidence in women, and make it a point to identify the areas where you lack self-confidence. And then, and there's no right or wrong answer here, but just a very honest, authentic reflection of where you lack self confidence, and then work to increase that. Because who you are on the inside is what determines your results on the outside. So, characteristics of confidence in women. Confident women, number one, aren't afraid to take risks. When we are afraid of taking a risk, we let that hold us back. We let fear hold us back. And confidence, when we have self-confidence, we're not afraid to take a risk. We know it's a risk and we've measured the risk. I'm not saying be reckless here, but we know that to get anywhere in life, sometimes we have to step out on a limb. I love to say, you can't walk on water until you're willing to step out of the boat. You can't have faith if you're not willing to take a risk. Number two, confident women aren't afraid of making mistakes because they know that they have a growth mindset, and they know that we all make mistakes. I love to use the example of when we learn to walk. Maybe you have seen this in your kids. Toddlers start to pull up and they take a few steps and they fall down, but they get back up and they try again. And, as humans, we have that learning model of try something, make a mistake, and learn from it. It's only failure when we quit trying. But sometimes we let self-doubt hold us back, and we're afraid of making a mistake, or we're afraid that when we make a mistake, that defines us as a failure. And there's a huge difference between making a mistake and being a mistake. We aren't a mistake just because we make mistakes. So key difference there. Number three, confident women aren't afraid of leading others. And sometimes this means, making those decisions and influencing others, and having confidence in ourselves and knowing we'll influence them in a positive way. Number four, confident women aren't afraid of trusting their instincts. And this is a big one, because you've probably had this, I know I have, where that gut reaction, that gut whisper, or little voice in your head that says something, and sometimes we're afraid to trust that. And I know in the past that I haven't listened to it. And then later I regret that. I look back and I go, man, I wish I had listened to it. I kind of knew without really knowing. Weston Agor said, intuition is what we know for sure without knowing for certain. So sometimes just listening to our intuition, our gut, our instincts. Number 4, confident women aren't afraid of being persistent. And, this comes down to the confidence in ourselves that when we hit a roadblock or a stumbling block, or when someone tells us no, we are confident in ourselves and what we're doing, and we're not afraid to be persistent. I can tell you, if I wasn't willing to be persistent, I wouldn't be where I am today as a speaker, as an author, because there are so many times when I've stepped out and been told no, or been told this isn't a good fit for or this program isn't a good fit for our audience, and that's okay. But I'm persistent. I can take no, and I can go figure out where the yes is. So don't be afraid to be persistent. And be passionate. Number 5. I talked about that in a previous episode, but confident women aren't afraid to be passionate. They're not afraid to let that passion shine through because they're proud of it. Number 6, confident women aren't afraid of learning something new. And that comes down to confidence in self and saying, hey, I don't know it all, and I'm willing to learn because I know how much I don't know. And I'm not afraid to be a beginner, to be a learner, to have that beginner's mindset and say, teach me. Confident women aren't afraid of empowering others because they know that there is plenty to go around. There is an abundance of resources, of knowledge, of opportunities. Confident women aren't afraid to give something of themselves away because they know they have more of it. They're learning and growing. Confident women aren't afraid of taking a stand. And, I think sometimes as women, this can be hard, but sometimes we have to be prepared to stand up for what we believe, stand up for our values. And standing up for something like that takes courage. But when we have confidence in ourselves and who we are and what we believe, it's much easier to stand up for that. And last but not least, confident women aren't afraid to follow someone else because they know that the best leaders are sometimes the best followers. Every single one of us are influencing other people. That's what leadership is. But also, every single one of us are being influenced by other people. And that means sometimes we need to step back and follow. And confident women aren't afraid to do that. They're not afraid to step back and be the follower when the situation calls for it. Because they have the confidence in themselves, and they know that they don't always have to be seen as the leader, because they know sometimes it's more effective when we're willing to step back and let someone else lead the situation. And, when we have confidence, we're willing to do that because we know that we don't always have the answers. And we know that sometimes we're not the best person to lead that situation. Oscar de la Renta said, the qualities I most admire in women are confidence and kindness. Leaders without confidence in themselves have weak followers. Because if you don't trust yourself, why would anyone else? Why would anyone else? So when we think about that, confidence is the foundation on which we build our influence. And if the foundation is weak, the structure collapses. So confidence is critical to success in life and leadership because confidence builds trust with other people. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.